Look, Chloe, obviously, when you get a report like this, the most important part is the verification. And on our part, we just used various sources just to make sure that we get it right. But it looks like, yes, it is a credible report. And I must also add that I think the main thing coming out of this report is actually what many thought would never happen, where the Integrity Commission would say, tell Ace Magashule to step aside. But I think that while it may seem like a victory for those who stand for right for morality and the integrity of the ANC, the reality is this decision still has to go to the NEC of the NEC, which still has to ratify it and actually give effect to it slowly. But in the main, the Integrity Commission is saying that Ace Magashule, given the fact that he has been charged with a serious crime, he should step aside in line with the NEC decision of the August, that NEC that said that in uncertain terms that anyone who faces such criminal charges should step aside, failing which the NEC should actually suspend those people. It was quite clear in that regard, Xoli.
Yeah, Sbu, something you said in the earlier part of your answer that people thought this is a decision that the Integrity Commission would never actually come to pronounce, and that is to say Ace Magashule step aside. Some will say, Sbu, that it is unquestionable the integrity of the men and women who serve in the ANC Integrity Commission. Therefore, that decision would most probably have been expected from them. It is the NEC which often is said to be torn right down the middle in terms of factionalism that may not accede to this recommendation. Is that not the case?
And that is exactly the nub of the issue here, Xoli, that insofar as the Integrity Commission is concerned, their standing is not in doubt. Their role in terms of upholding and guarding the values and principles of the ANC, that is what they are tasked with. But the issue here is that we have had a number of recommendations by the very Integrity Commissions. For instance, they've had findings in respect of people like Deputy President David Mabuza. In fact, with Deputy Mabuza, they actually said that while the ANC and everyone went about harping about how he had been cleared by the commission after there were allegations that were made against him, they had never done that. But secondly, they made some startling, in fact, some serious findings against Deputy Minister of Finance David Masondo. And in the Masondo case, they actually said that Masondo must step aside and actually step aside from his role as the head of the ANC's political school, but also as a Deputy Minister of Finance. But guess what? Masondo was in the meeting last week that was addressed by Ace Magashule, the very same meeting that decided that Ace Magashule will appear before the Integrity Commission. So insofar as their standing is concerned, and what their recommendation and the expectation. I think it was for me or any other observer, it was pretty much a fait accompli because the commission derives its power from the constitution of the ANC, but also it follows to the letter that very constitution and the resolutions that are taken by the NEC. So that's why they threw the book. Literally, they're throwing the book at the ANC's NEC saying, you need to implement your own decisions. If you want guidance, they even quote that clause that said that anyone charged with a serious crime must step aside. But what does this mean, colleague? It means that it goes back to the ANC's officials and back to the very NEC. It may seem like it's a straightforward thing because it's a recommendation, but the problem here is the issue of precedence. Will the ANC implement this decision? Because the Integrity Commission in this report is quite clear. They are saying the ANC should not harp about unity at all costs and compromise its own integrity because of a fallacious sense of unity, but rather unity can be realized by the party respecting its own decision. Whether the NEC does that or not is another question altogether, Colin.
Yeah, Sbu, we know that coming out of the recent NEC, which took no decision, by the way, on this matter, because they said officials still ought to work on the guidelines for this step-aside resolution to be implementable. What does the recommendation of the Integrity Commission say in the meantime, whilst these regulations are being worked out by the officials, who, by the way, will include Ace Magashule. What does it say in the meantime about people like Magashule who are charged, not just accused, who are charged with very serious crimes?
Well, they're actually saying they take time to go through what Ace Magashule had to say in his input, in that he respects the constitution of the ANC. He respects his role as the chief administrator in the ANC and the guardian of its principles, and that he would abide by any decision of the NEC. So, having said that, then the Integrity Commission is saying to the ANC NEC, look at the resolution of the 6th to the 8th of August 2020, where they even quote where it says that cadres who are formally charged for corruption and other serious crimes must immediately step aside from all leadership positions in the ANC, in the legislatures, or any other government structure pending the finalization of their cases. And they actually remind the ANC of this, and they're saying the officials, because remember at the last NEC, which was a week or so ago, the officials, again, the NEC took a decision to say the officials would formulate guidelines. Now, that was not a new decision, because in August already, they said the same thing, which beggars the question, between August and December, what stopped the ANC officials from formulating these very guidelines? Because they have a clear guideline in terms of what the resolution says. So where it seems that the ANC officials have failed is in actually putting into effect what is expected of them. So it has taken them 3 months to actually come up with the guidelines, but they still failed as per the last NEC. The question now is, when the year resumes ahead of the ANC's January 8th, where will Ace Magashule be? And also, given the fact that the ANC had its last NEC where they mentioned at its conclusion that Ace would appear before the Integrity Commission, they didn't say what they would do, what action, course of action they would take when they receive that report from the Integrity Commission. Does it mean that they're going to call a special NEC, special NWC to deal with the matter? That was left hanging, and we all have those questions. We're all asking ourselves those questions as to how will the ANC deal with this matter as we go forward, Xoli.
Yeah, Sbu Ngalwa, thank you very much for the time being. And I suppose that the other question to ask is going to be, how does this recommendation that Ace Magashule step aside stack up with his earlier comments where he told you on this very channel that only branches can remove him? Well, we shall see.